Hey, what's up YouTube, it's Sheikah here back again with the Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity character guide. This week we'll be covering the rest of the characters you can get throughout the main story, and looking at the poll I put up last Wednesday, you guys decided that we should first go over the top banana of the Yuka clan, Master Kohga. So Master Kohga's moveset is pretty silly, which really fits into his character, and he uses a lot of similar moves he used when you fight him as a boss early on in the story. But opening up his attack menu though, here we can see all of his attack combos and abilities. I'll be going over all of these in detail and showing what they all do, and then at the end of the video I'll go over some basic strategies and tips I have for playing Master Kohga. Before we start, please make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and also make sure to like the video if you watch it and enjoy it. And then let's get this video started by taking a look at his basic abilities. Our first basic ability is Kohga's dash attack, which is performed by pressing X while sprinting. This will make Kohga do a quick slam on the ground with his feet and then keep on sprinting afterwards. So next we'll go over his mid-air attacks since they're kind of different. So usually for most characters you use up to 4 mid-air attacks, where Kohga can only use 3. So if you use all Ys, he'll do 2 mid-air attacks and belly slam the ground, and if you use an X at any point he'll throw 2 Yuga balls at the enemies below him. Kohga's next ability is to eat a banana when you press X. This will prevent Kohga from throwing a tantrum whenever his stress gauge is filled, which is done whenever Kohga does a few strong attacks. When this happens, normally Kohga will fall down into the ground and get stuck there for a few seconds and make you wiggle the left stick to get out of it. But if you eat a banana beforehand, this will help prevent this from happening and allow Kohga to keep using his strong attacks like normal. And finally, if you enhance his ability, this will spawn some Yuga foot soldiers around Kohga that will swing at the enemies around him. So tying into the stress gauge, which is filled by doing strong attacks, Kohga's unique action allows him to release a big beam from his head that does damage to enemies whenever his stress gauge is really high. So whenever a strong attack that will max out his stress gauge is finished, Kohga will go into a bullet time and then you'll have the ability to press ZR to release a beam from his head. So if you miss that ZR press, Kohga will instead just throw a tantrum which depletes his stress gauge anyway, so it's probably better that most of the time you try to hit it. But if you do get it, the beam that shoots from his head will always deplete the stress gauge completely, and you can aim where this goes by using the left stick. However, the range on where you can aim up and down as well as left to right is pretty limited, but the beam is still a pretty good attack as it does solid damage to enemies as well as expose and drain weak point gauges on bosses. Next up we have some of Kohga's weak point smash animations. They have no additional effects outside of the damage they normally do. And finally for this section we have a special attack, which is just a standard huge damage, huge AoE attack. So moving on to the Sheikah Runes now, first we'll start with Cryonis. So Kohga's Cryonis spawns a Cryonis cylinder below him divided into 3 separate sections, and you can hit these separate sections at enemies by using your Y attack, and you don't need to be standing behind it. I'm pretty sure you can stand in front of it and still hit it to wherever you want it to go. For Kohga's bomb rune, it'll have him spawn a ton of bombs from the ground directly in front of him that will spread out and explode around him. For his Magnesis rune, Kohga will absorb all nearby metal objects into a ball, which he can then move around with the left stick to damage all enemies that come in contact with it. And finally for Stasis, Kohga will freeze himself as well as all nearby enemies, and then 2 Yuga foot soldiers will spawn behind Kohga and begin to hit him. The stasis will then break automatically and Kohga will be launched forward into the frozen enemies and do damage. And since Kohga's frozen this entire time, there's no way to cancel out of this animation. So moving on to Kohga's attack combos now, and our first combo is going to be his 5 Ys combo. So this combo is just a mix of swings with his Demon Carver combined with some Giga magic attacks. His second combo is his YXXX combo. He'll start this combo off with a regular attack with his Demon Carver, followed by a belly slam, and then he'll create a huge metal ball above him and throw it at his enemies. Then he'll finish the combo off by teleporting mid-air and doing a spin attack. Combo number 3 is his YYXXX combo. This will have Kohga do 2 regular attacks followed by a strong attack that will spawn 3 Yiga Blade Masters that will carry Kohga and run around damaging enemies. Then Kohga will pull out a banana on a stick that will make the Yiga Blade Masters run faster, and then afterwards he'll jump off and slam the ground with his feet. His fourth combo is his 3 Ys and 3 X's combo. Again, you'll do his regular attacks from combo 1 for the Y presses, and then the 3 X's will have the spawn exploding himself that will beat him up and then tie him in a rope. Then his clone will pull off the rope that will create a small tornado around Kohga that will damage nearby enemies. And if you're able to pull off this entire combo, it'll fill up Kohga's stress gauge almost to the max. And our last combo is combo 5, which is 4 Ys and an X. The 4 Ys will do his regular attacks, and the X press will have him spawn a ball that he will start to run on top of. You can extend how long he stays on this ball by repeatedly pressing X, and this ball will damage all enemies that come in contact with it. At the end of the attack, he will fall off the metal ball and get crushed by it, which will automatically fill up his entire stress gauge and prompt you to use his unique action. But if you don't want to use that unique action, don't want to get stuck in that ending animation, just press B right when the big metal ball spawns and cancel out of it. Alright, so now that we know his moveset, it's time to move on to the last section where I'll go over some tips and basic strategies for playing as Kohga. So first we'll start off with his weapon build, and my plan for Kohga is to use 3 special attack charge rates combined with 1 attack range seal. The attack range is needed to get a little bit more range on Kohga's running attacks like he used in combos 3 and 5. And the 3 special attack charge rates are there so we can get our special faster while using those combos, which will allow us to use them when taking over outposts or KOing bosses. This combination of seals will only get you to plus 15, but if you want to get a plus 20 boost, you can always replace one of them with a strong attack damage seal since Kohga uses a lot of strong attacks that are really extended with very long animations. So my strategy for playing Kohga is a little similar to my strategy with Riju, and it is to use his combos 3 and 5 to take out enemies when moving around the map, which will charge my special really fast, especially with my weapon build. Then once I get to wherever I'm headed, usually my specials are fully charged, I just spam them to complete my objective way faster. But if I don't have them, in order to take out bosses easier without using any special attacks, I quickly use combo 4 nearby an enemy boss to charge Kohga's stress gauge, and then use the unique action whenever that's filled to shoot out of the beam from my head, which will usually expose their weak point gauge and most of the time drain it completely. I always use that strat when fighting bosses, although since the animations are a little bit long, it can be difficult to pull this off without getting hit. So if you're having trouble with that, just use this combo from a distance, as the damage it does isn't really necessary, as it's just more important that you get his stress gauge filled quickly. Then once it's filled, just go to whatever boss you're trying to take out and then use it on them to drain their weak point gauge. For combo usage, I think that combos 2, 3, and 5 are all better for larger groups of enemies, while combo 4 combined with his unique action are better for taking out bosses. Overall though, I think that Kohga is an alright character. He's not the best and is probably more near the bottom if I were to personally rank them. I think he's kind of meant to be a Jogi type of character, which you can clearly see through all of his animations and most of his attacks. His crowd control is alright, and one thing I really don't like is that his combos 3 and 5 essentially do the same exact thing. But his unique action is really good, and he's really good at taking out bosses if you're able to use it frequently. He's definitely viable and pretty easy to learn, but I personally wouldn't take him over most of the characters you've already gone over so far. But that is just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think of Master Kohga down below, and also feel free to share any strategies you have for playing him and let me know if there's anything I missed. But that's going to wrap up the video for today. That was the entire moveset of Master Kohga. Next up I think we'll be doing King Rome next, and then afterwards will be Hestu's turn, so make sure to subscribe so you're notified when those videos come out. Also make sure to like the video if you enjoyed it and found it helpful, but other than that, thank you guys so much for watching and I'll see you guys next time.